Persona is easily one of the most successful JRPG franchises on the planet right now. Between Persona 3 Reload, Persona 5 Royal, and a mountain of mainstream spin-offs, Atlus has always made sure fans have something to play. But if you rewind the clock back to the 2000s, Atlus were going crazy with the spin-off games. They released dozens of exclusive games for Japanese web browsers and feature phones. And because those servers and storefronts were shut down years ago, a massive chunk of 2000s Persona history has just been wiped out of existence. Today, we're diving deep down the rabbit hole to uncover lost media in the Persona series, and the last game in this video, it's probably the weirdest piece of media Atlus has ever made. Persona fans love to joke that nobody's actually played Persona 1 or Persona 2, but the die-hard fans who have played them know that the Persona 2 duology features one of the absolute greatest, most psychological stories Atlus has ever written. Now, I'm not going to get into spoilers for Persona 2 because it is something that you should go and play because it is brilliant, but Persona 2 has two spin-off games. The first one being Persona 2 Lost Memories. This was created as a narrative bridge between both Persona 2 games, because there's two of them if you didn't know. The second one being Persona 2 Infinity Mask, which was created as an epilogue to Persona 2 Eternal Punishment. Both of these games were created for Japanese feature phones, a type of phone that could access the internet and text, but it didn't really have the same capabilities as a modern smartphone. They were released in 2007 and 2008, compared to the two main Persona games being released in 1999 and 2000. These games are canon and were most likely made due to feature phones becoming extremely popular in mid to late 2000s Japan, and also the success of Persona 3 bringing a lot more eyes to the franchise. Fortunately, even though these add to the story of Persona 2, they're fully lost, with no way to play, and no footage exists either, only a collection of still images. And that brings us directly to the game that changed everything for the franchise, Persona 3. When it launched on the PlayStation 2 in 2006, it brought massive new eyes to the franchise, and Atlus wanted to capitalize on this, so they started experimenting with spin-off games even more. Now, for the first game, Atlus actually released the spin-off a month before Persona 3 released in Japan, which is kinda crazy. Persona 3 the night before was a free web-based RPG that came out in June 2006. It features none of the C's members, but it does feature Igor. This game had a pretty interesting gameplay loop. You could choose to fight as a shadow, something no mainline Persona game has ever let you do, or against the shadows, and your persona was determined by a personality test at the start of the game, which the persona you got would determine how it evolves later on in the game. You were given 1 hour of time a day, and each action you did would take up a few minutes from your hour. This game had a 200 floor Tartarus, in which bosses would appear every 15 levels. This game was eventually shut down in February of 2008 to make way for a different online Persona game. This game was released immediately following the closure of The Night Before. The name is the Hebrew word for infinity, and the game was abbreviated as POO, which on the title screen certainly looks like something. This game incorporated elements from the previous game I covered, but the player encounters Igor in the Velvet Room, where they learn of a nightmare world. The player is then told they've awakened the power of their persona in order to understand the mystery of this world and eventually escape it. Every action in this game builds up your fatigue, and once you've reached maximum fatigue, you are no longer able to play until the server resets the next day. You were able to prepare for dungeons by buying items and fusing personas. By defeating enemies, players can obtain experience, money, and fame, as well as access to higher floors. In losing battles, players gain a great amount of fatigue and lose fame points. The game was shut down a little over 2 years after launch in June of 2010. Atlus also released several tiny online board games and puzzle games around this time, but not much is known about them and they're not really that interesting. The next release is actually an interesting one, as it's a game that became lost and was recently found. This was a game developed for Japanese feature phones in 2007 and is actually a prequel to Persona 3, being set in 1999. The story follows Aegis as she's transported to the Keijo Ergonomics Research Lab on Yakushima Island. I won't spoil story elements again, as this one is actually pretty cool and it is playable, but it features Aegis and the plot of her gaining human emotions, similar to actual Persona 3. There are around 5 main dungeon areas, with the game being set across a 6-day linear period. The game was considered lost media for a long time, until 2024 when Gmode announced they were porting it to Steam and the Switch. However, it is only available in Japan. It's pretty cool that they managed to bring it back. It makes sense since most of the other games involve online capabilities, whereas this one didn't. Thankfully, this game wasn't lost forever, but again, the next Persona game wasn't nearly as lucky. Before we continue, if you're enjoying learning about this hidden side of Persona, please consider subscribing as I'm trying to reach 1,000 and it really helps the channel. Persona 3 EM is a 2007 RPG once again made for mobile phones. It's a spin-off of Persona 3 and is a side story taking place during the Yakushima trip in the original game. The game is of course unplayable due to no emulators being available for this type of game and a lack of copies existing. Again, there's actually no video footage or extensive documentation of this game. The only information about this is news article and blogs. The game was pretty similar to Persona 3. You had to spend time with party members during the day and then fight during the dark hour, which in this game is called Dream Time, which is potentially the worst name I've ever heard. The objective of this game was to scale an 80-floor shadow-infested tower. However, none of us will be doing that since the game's long gone. However, the real big games come up now, and some of these are genuinely crazy. Persona Mobile Online was an MMO mobile game retaining elements from mainline games, mainly Persona 3, and it's kind of crazy that not too many people know about this, because this isn't just another mobile game, this is quite literally a Persona MMO. The setting's simple, players control their avatar, a student of Yamori High School, in a quest to rid the place of shadows lurking in the area. This school is one created for the MMO, it's not one featured in any other mainline games. Quests can be accepted and companions can be recruited within the school. While preparations for quests, such as purchasing and upgrading equipment, can be done in the town, players can also use the Velvet Room in the classroom to switch personas and fuse them. The social link system was modified in this game. Social links are replaced with Arcana points, where players acquire points of a certain Arcana by teaming up with other players who have the same Arcana. There is a chance this game had character customization, as a few different articles I found allude to avatars, but that's just speculation, don't take my word for it. These points can be used to level up personas and allow access to new ones in the Velvet Room. Since this was a multiplayer game, it of course had a chat feature where players could talk, trade items, and blacklist annoying players. You can tell it still has that Persona UI feel to it, and it honestly looks pretty fun. The game actually used a monthly subscription model. You either pay 525 or 1050 yen every month, which gave you a 500 or 1000 points to spend in game. Those points could be used on quests, specialty items, or even cosmetics. It was released in 2009 in Japan, and a shutdown date is unknown. I just can't find it. However, in 2010, Atlus moved on to their next game. Persona 3 Social was released in 2010, a Persona 3 spin-off developed for Mobage Town, I may be pronouncing that wrong, a Japanese social network-enabled phone. This game reached over 1 million registered users, which honestly is a crazy amount. It ran in your mobile browser, so there was no downloading involved. You could choose from a male or a female protagonist, and they were designed by Sojima, the man behind so many crucial parts of Persona's art direction. You play as a Gekokun High student who's introduced to the world of shadows and personas. You could collect personas to join your team, fight shadows, get XP, and complete quests. As this was a social game, you could of course cooperate with other players. A common slogan used to describe the game was, "This game is designed to appeal to a wide range of players, from beginners to fans of the Persona series." I can't really find too much else out about this game. I've gone through many Japanese articles, but unfortunately once again, this is just a game lost to time. Now, the last two games in this video are both Persona 4 spin-offs, and the last one is seriously interesting. Firstly, we have Persona 4 The Card Battle, released in September 2012, shortly after Persona 4 Arena, and around the same time Persona 4 Golden was helping the series explode in popularity. It first launched on Gree, a hugely popular Japanese social gaming platform, before later getting an Android version. Unlike a physical card game, this was an online-only mobile game. The premise of the game was that the player had just moved to Inaba, where card battles had become a really popular hobby. The player then explored areas in Inaba and collected cards based on characters, personas, and shadows from Persona 4 and Persona 4 Golden. While exploring, the player could find a whole card or a fragment of a card, which would then later be fused together to make a whole one. Other cards were obtained by events and of course the paid gacha system. Players could also get a free roll by logging in during lunch hours. As a social type game, players were also able to trade cards with one another, though this did have restrictions, such as requiring a trading pass. Gameplay took place in different parts of Inaba. For example, the first area was on the first floor of the classroom building. After exploring an area and completing certain objectives, the player was able to challenge the boss of that area to a card battle, and if they won, they could then move on to the next area. The combat system was a simple form of card battling, where the player faced against NPCs and other players. You would select 3 cards to use, and the attack and defense values of the player's cards were compared against their opponents. Damage followed a rock, paper, scissors type of rule, where like diligence cards were weak to knowledge but strong against courage, etc, etc. The game went on for a while, but then was shut down on May 9th, 2014. And of course, just like nearly every other game in this video, it's unplayable due to it being linked to online social gaming platforms. And now, the game you waited all video to see, and one of the weirdest pieces of Persona media ever created, the Chie Hot Springs Flash game. Now yes, this was an official Flash game built into the Atlus website to promote Persona 4. And while it's not officially available anymore, it is still playable through the Internet Archive, which I will not be doing for this video. As this game's premise was trying to peek at Chie bathing in the hot springs. Yes, this is true. You had to try and click a hole in the fence as fast as you could to fill the heart meter, and if you clicked it too fast, she would catch you. If you were successful, you'd unlock different images of Chie relaxing in a bath towel. Data miners also discovered another unused Chie model hidden within the game's files, with, let's just say, less than a towel on. For obvious reasons, that will not be shown on this video, nor will I be going to see that. So yes, this game is actually playable now, as it was saved by the community, and I have no doubt that somebody watching this will go and play it. I honestly find it kind of crazy just how much Persona history's almost disappeared forever. Now, of course, there's plenty of Persona spin-offs that are still active to this day, the most recent one being Persona 5X, which I'm not the biggest fan of, but if people enjoy it, it is what it is. I'd love to know which game you found most interesting in this video, and the one you wish would come back the most. Comment down below and have a great day, people.